Many of you may have seen Douglas Murray share a video that he did 13 years ago. I believe it's the Oxford Union floor. And this video is quite powerful because Douglas Murray is sharing all the way back then what is actually taking place today with Israel attacking Iran, because Iran, as we know, came close to developing a nuclear bomb. And we don't want a Islamic regime like Iran to develop a nuclear weapon. That is a bad thing, not just for Israel, man, but for the West. When you've got a regime like the current regime in Iran at the moment, the Islamic regime, the ones responsible for putting the people of Iran, the Iranian people, under significant bondage for a very long time and causing loads of wars around the world and in the Middle East as well. The Iranian government at the moment is non-elected. Keep that in mind, right? They're non-elected. And I'm seeing countless people defend and support the Islamic regime of Iran, knowing full well that they have created terror all around the Middle East and around the world. They've got their hands dirty, man. But yet you've still got the usual suspects like Tucker, Candace, you name it, Jake Shields, that will defend because they think that Israel is the problem. No, Israel is not the problem at all. Iran is the problem, and everyone else that is defending Iran and the terrorist organizations, as well as the proxies that Iran has funded for quite some time, they're just the useful idiots, man. And a lot of the people that are defending the Islamic regime at the moment, mark my words, they've more than likely been paid a great deal of money. They've sold their souls by the looks of things, because anyone that in one moment claims to be Christian, but in the next moment defends Islam ain't, nah. Sorry, not going to fly with me, man. There's something going on far more sinister. I listen to people like Douglas Murray because he's very smart. He's very intelligent. He looks at the rational side of things as well as the facts. Not only that, but common sense. And 13 years ago, Douglas Murray said this.
When Israel is pushed to the situation it will be pushed to, of having to believe they mean it, and when every bit of jiggery-pokery behind the scenes runs out, and when the UN and distinguished figures have run out of time and Iran is about to produce its first bomb, Israel will strike. Every single country, including this one, people from our elegant diplomatic service, people from America, everyone will condemn Israel. Everyone in the Middle East will condemn Israel. And they will go back to their homes and they will say in private, thank God for Israel. The Saudis, the Bahrainis, the Egyptians, the Libyans, the Lebanese, everybody will say thank God they did it, because nobody else would. The proposition being put before you tonight is that you have a choice between war and an Iran with the bomb. You have a choice, as has been said before, between war and dishonor. You'll choose dishonor this evening and you'll get war. You have the choice between a war with a nuclear Iran or a war at some point with an Iran that is not nuclear, which you stop from ever being nuclear, and hope that in stopping that regime, in embedding itself, you will give the Iranian people the best chance they will have of overthrowing that regime. But as I say, thank God this doesn't rely on you or any Europeans, because you've made the same mistake before and nobody should trust you to get it right this time.
Douglas Murray is absolutely right, and he's brilliant. 13 years ago he said that. 13 years ago, and a lot has changed from that time. And he's right. 13 years ago, he said that when Iran is close to getting their first bomb, Israel will strike. Exactly what they did. And when they do strike, everyone in the Middle East and everyone in the West will, guess what? Blame Israel. Why is that? But then they'll go away and say, thank God for Israel. Thank God that Israel was able to do something that no one else would do. because we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. We don't. That's the reality of it all. But you have the useful idiots that are going to run around and say that, no, Israel is the problem. Israel is the one that is committing all these atrocities. No, no, no. Israel is the one that is doing the right thing, doing the thing that no other country in the West considers to do. You have David versus Goliath. Have you seen the size of Israel versus the size of Iran, and knowing full well all the other countries around that are Muslim are now governed or now going, well, if Israel is striking Iran, Iran to them is like Big Daddy. When Big Daddy gets hurt, Iran is going to more than likely strike and strike hard. But Israel foresaw this, didn't they? So why is it that so many people are, for whatever reason, siding with Islam, siding with a regime that oppresses women, oppresses the people, when the Iranian people are praising Israel in the streets? That should tell you everything you need to know, because they know that they're going to be free very soon. It gives them the best chance of overthrowing this terrible regime that has caused a lot of harm. People in the West will go, I don't want war. You're not getting war. This has got nothing to do with us. So why are you defending terror? Why are you defending Iran? All for what? Because it's Israel? Because of what's happened with the terrorist organization governing Gaza at the moment, who, by the way, is a proxy of Iran? Piers Morgan, as we know, constantly changes his mind on things because, well, as we know, he's been rather critical of Israel of late because that seems to be the trendiest thing to do. So he'll flip. We've seen a number of his debates or more arguments over on his Piers Morgan Uncensored show, and I've been obviously rather critical of Piers Morgan because he doesn't seem to think that well. He's a charlatan, gutter journalism. Over on X, after Israel struck Iran with a very precise targets, he's gone, I've been increasingly critical of Israel's war strategy in Gaza. You've been very critical of Israel in general. But given the IAEA report exposing Iran's imminent nuclear threat and the Iranian regime stated intent to wipe out Israel, plus support for Houthi terrorism, Israel's preemptive strike seemed justified. Gee, you don't say. Now, while he said this, a few hours before he said this, he said something that was, well, let's just say stupid. Here we go. If Israel had targeted in Gaza in the precise surgical way they targeted Hezbollah and now Iran, they may have had a lot more support than they now have. And get this, an Iranian, Noah Berg, goes, the regime doesn't embed itself among civilians. They don't operate from schools and hospitals. They don't fire ballistic missiles from downtown Tehran. Most IRGC officials live in separate buildings from other Iranians. Does none of this. Hope that helps. Yes, there's a massive difference between when you've got a terrorist organization that's embedded itself within the population, the Gazan population, with Palestinian individuals. They've used them as human shields, cannon fodder, you would want to call it. And when you've got another useful like Piers Morgan going, oh, Israel is committing so many atrocities, what else do you expect them to do? Do you expect Israel to just give up and not wipe out the individuals that are actually oppressing the Palestinians in Gaza? So how is it any different to what's going on in Iran? Oh, I know, innocent civilians. I know it makes it very, very difficult, but you've got to blame the one in power and the one that's actually doing it, not Israel that is actually having the guts to do it. Just because they're the one that's doing it doesn't mean they're in the wrong. But you got to look at the one that started it all. You got to look at the terrorist organization funded by Iran. And this is all coming to a head, man. People will look at what Israel is doing in Iran and also in Gaza, and they will criticize them, saying that Israel is the enemy. No, they're not the enemy. Wake up and smell the roses for 5 seconds. Wake up and actually do some common sense. Israel is a democracy. They are fighting against an evil regime, a very evil regime. When the Shah was in power, there was peace in the Middle East. When he wasn't in power, there was no peace. The Islamic regime is the enemy, not Israel. Israel is trying to get rid of the Islamic regime. You don't want Israel, you don't want Islam, to exist in that area because it causes a lot of issues. Now, Douglas Murray, to me, has criticized Piers Morgan of late for not knowing anything to do with Israel. Thinks that he does, but he actually doesn't. And Piers Morgan has gone, what's baffling to me is how Mossad can plan the Hezbollah pager attack and now this extraordinary precise attack on Iran's nuke sites. Experts had no idea how the terrorist organization in Gaza was building a tunnel terror network for 18 years on its doorstep, nor planning October 7th. Well, they did. They did. No. But there was a lapse of judgment and a lapse of something that went on October 7th. Once again, it just seems like Piers Morgan is doing the dirty work of Iran. John Spencer goes, thank you, Piers Morgan. You couldn't do more to show the world you know nothing about war. Middle East, Lebanon, Gaza, Iran, Israel, strategy, military tactics. But let me help you. Again, Israel disengaged from Gaza in 2005. Hamas attacked. Wall went up. Iron Dome. Strategy complemented and acted. Iran and Lebanon are not a closed, full, radicalized societies where penetrating networks are more difficult. Iran distinguishes military and national security positions from civilians. Iran does not deploy a human sacrifice strategy hoping to get as many civilians killed to achieve their political goals. Iran does not build all military sites under hospitals, in schools, under all populated areas. Iran does not deploy child soldiers. On and on and on and on it goes. So Piers Morgan responds to that by going, does that mean the only way to defeat Hamas is to kill thousands of children? What do you think, Piers Morgan? They're not trying to kill thousands upon thousands of children. They're trying to end the life of the actual terrorists that are trying to use those children as human shields. And while it is disgusting, while it is actually horrible, and why I do not support war, what I do know is that I don't support terror. I do not support terrorists in any kind of fashion. I don't support Islam either. What I do support is Israel's right to defend itself and also wiping out the terrorists, because that's what everyone should actually be cheering on. And yes, war is heartless. War sucks. But sometimes strength is necessary to wipe out something that could be far, far worse. You don't want the terrorist organization in Gaza or any other Islamic regime, for that fact, to attack. You know why? Because it will be a lot worse. And all those useful idiots that have been cheering and defending Iran and Islam such a long time, guess what? You're either going to be forced to convert or you'll be killed like everyone else. That's the way it goes. You either convert or you die. There's no in between. So everyone needs to wake up and realize that what Israel is doing is the right thing. Sure, it may be hard to understand, but you've got to blame Islam. Islam is the enemy here, not Israel. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.